what? Are they going to make that night one? That's just going to be like a match. That's not going to be that's not going to be the main event, right? Unless we're going to just completely bury Jey Uso and call him main event Jey Uso, but not give him the main event of WrestleMania. Wrestling analysis that you will not be hearing anywhere else. And I think it's important for us today to talk about the great pay-per-view that WWE just had, the Royal Rumble. So let's get into it today, and away we go.
Cody Rhodes injured. Drew McIntyre screaming and cursing backstage. Jordynne Grace's massive heat with her own mum. And the biggest piece of breaking news, professional wrestling works fans. I'm Ollie the Paper Davis. It came back again. I was really happy about that. Soon to be your Jam That Champion, and this is my review of the WWE Royal Rumble 2025 in about 10 minutes. Because Triple H doesn't want to hog all the limelight, which is why he came out at the end of WrestleMania 40, had the opening promo on the Netflix debut Raw, and is this year's Hall of Fame class headliner. His wife Stephanie McMahon opened the Royal Rumble.
You know, I will say that, right? I agree with Ollie on this. Triple H do just be coming out a lot. I know, like, it's funny because it's one of these things that happens in professional wrestling that one company does something and the other company does not do, or the other company does the same thing, and like people get hot about it in different ways. Like Triple H coming out all the time is ridiculous. He's a little bit of a diva. I love it. Like, okay, great. Like, you should keep doing that. It is funny, but also like when Tony Khan comes out, remember, you have more in common with Tony Khan as a wrestling fan than you do with Triple H, the former wrestler. It's just one of those things I wanted to point out, that we all just seem to like certain things when somebody does it, but not with the others. Maybe we just don't like certain people. Maybe that's it. But anyways, yes, Triple H is on television quite a lot.
Rumble instead, where she hyped up the crowd with all of WWE's amazing business metrics. After a Pat McAfee voiced video package helpfully explaining this whole Royal Rumble thing to their new viewers on Netflix, the card opened with the women's match. Io Sky, Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez were the first three entries, who all stayed in for over an hour, with Perez breaking the record for the longest Iron Maiden performance ever at 1 hour 7 minutes and 47 seconds. And I'm very aware of these figures because their actual greatest debut on this year's show was the stats graphics bar that was always on the bottom of the screen. It was a really efficient way to keep track of everything all the time, and yet another production triumph for WWE. Then 16 other women entered.
No, that is a really that was one of the things that we talked about in the our watch party the other night. Is the stats graphics was very nice. I enjoyed that. I thought it added a little bit of something to the Royal Rumble. It made it have that more sports feel. I know a lot of people like to talk about like, oh well, we want to make it feel like more like sports. We want advertising on the ring. Like, that doesn't really necessarily make it feel like sports. Obviously, you're just advertising to me. But I feel ultimately it is the same thing here when I see when I see the stats tracker. It is another place WWE is advertising. I don't know if you noticed, but it was a big advertisement for Fortnite the entire night. That is something that is starting to grate on me, right? It is a problem I've been having with WWE lately. Every time they seem to do something good, they find a new way to advertise to me with it. And I understand that that is the nature of the beast with WWE, but it is getting a little tedious. I mean, we're already paying for the pay-per-view. I mean, I know it comes with your Peacock subscription, but the ads last night, the ad breaks, the bell to bell, we timed it, and it was a little over an hour of just filler commercial. And I'll be honest, on a 4-hour card, yeah, it started at 6 and ended around 10, a 4-hour card, and it had 4 matches on it, and granted 2 of those are Royal Rumble, but giving me an hour of just random crap in between, it is getting on my nerves. I don't know about anybody else, but it's getting a little much for me.
And then out came Jordynne Grace. But you told me you were at your mum's birthday. Almost like I've been worked by a pro wrestler. I thought plot-wise, Grace had the most interesting interaction of the whole match. She hugged Naomi from their time together in TNA, which sparked a flash of angry jealousy from Naomi's tag team champion partner, Bianca Belair. Made me start to think how that overprotectiveness could play into what happened to her previous tag partner, Jade Cargill.
I know the story, like, okay, granted, yes, they're trying to continue with that story of who attacked Jade. I don't know about you, but that story's not exactly working for me. I truly don't really care. The reveal is going to be the reveal, and we're just going to keep going on that storyline. It's not for me, and that's fine. I totally get that. But I think the interesting thing, the story that they told with Jordynne Grace, was her being eliminated by Julia. I think that Jordynne Grace is going down to NXT, and I just feel that way because WWE has a habit of taking the Rumble, and when you have the Rumble, oh, hey James, how you doing? When you have the Rumble, you usually have them eliminate somebody, and then that is your WrestleMania story. That's your next story for the next couple months. We saw it in the Men's Rumble with Roman Reigns. We saw it with CM Punk and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. But what you saying, Richie? As a whodunit stories in wrestling are always, they're always almost underwhelming. That's exactly right. And I think that that's what's going to happen. They're going to be like, they're going to do this, it is, let me just unmask. It is WWE's time to tell the stories, and when they tell stories, they are heavy-handed. They are not subtle in the least bit, and I understand that. You have a viewing audience that spans from 8 to 85, and you need to, sometimes when you're telling a story, you have to just beat people over the head with it. And I think that that's what's going to happen here. And is it Naomi? Is it Bianca Belair who did it? And if it's Bianca Belair, like, that seems like way out of character, right? That I haven't seen anything that would lead me to believe that Bianca Belair would say, "Oh, I need to take out Jade Cargill." Unless they want to tell the story that's like, "Hey, when we were the first round of the tag team champions, I'm doing all the work. You're going in there, getting the pin, doing the licking your hand, and the crowd goes wild. But I'm in there wrestling." And if they want to tell that story, that's fine. But ultimately, I do think that story, the problem with that is if you tell that story, you are just saying to everybody, yeah, we were just making her wrestle and trying to protect Jade and not put her out in front of too many people. And I don't think that's the greatest idea to draw attention to that. Obviously, there are a lot of people on the internet who talk about that, but ultimately, you don't want to smarten up the rest of your audience to the fact that Jade wasn't wrestling that much, right? I don't think that that's good. It's the same thing with like the storylines where the heels say, "This company sucks and I hate this company and it's the worst place I've ever worked." Those storylines they don't work for me as well because all you're doing is kind of just burying the company. You got to put Jade over in a big way, and ultimately if it's Naomi or if it is Bianca Belair who turned on Jade, I don't think you're going to sacrifice Bianca Belair at the altar of Jade Cargill. I just don't see that. I see Bianca Belair as a very valuable asset that WWE has. She is in that female John Cena role for me. When she has that entrances that she has at WrestleMania, I think that is a pretty good indication on how WWE feels about her. Granted, I do think she should be in the world title picture, and maybe this is what does that. But she could turn heel. She definitely could, but I don't see the value. But as for Jordynne Grace, I think that she is going to NXT, though. I think that she is definitely going to NXT. She's going to have some great matches. I think we do need to normalize the fact that some of these people know how to wrestle and have been wrestling for an awful long time. So I don't think we need to send Jordynne Grace down to NXT, but being eliminated by Julia, it's on my mind. I can't seem to think anything else.
And her return, which didn't happen here. Instead, the surprise spots were of a very good but superficial capacity. Alexa Bliss came out at number 21, getting one of the loudest pops of the night, wearing a Fiend Forever jacket in honor of Bray Wyatt.
All right, let's talk about it. Alexa Bliss coming back, great surprise. I don't know if you all have seen, but the news stated, or Fightful Select stated that this was a late addition to the show. This was supposed to be Shotzi Blackheart. It was supposed to be Shotzi's spot here, but that didn't happen. It ended up going to Alexa Bliss, which is great, good. I know there had been some news stories going around that they had said, "Oh, she wouldn't be coming back. There were some contract disputes, yada yada yada." But here's the thing: the one thing that absolutely bugged me more than anything else about this return is it's a big moment. She is back. Usually, I like commentary to lay out, which means to just be quiet when a big moment happens. There's dozens and dozens of instances of, could it be? It's, yeah, dude, we can see. We have eyes. Now, granted, it is helpful when you say the person's name because the Def Rebels music is absolutely atrocious, and I don't know who's coming out anymore. Beyond the point, we'll get to that later. But when Alexa Bliss entered, the commentary said, "It seems the internet reporters and dirt sheets were wrong. She's back." And Okay. I get that. I get that, like, WWE wants to poke fun at the wrestling journalist. But at the end of the day, like, the wrestling journalists are getting this information from you all, from the wrestling company or people involved in it. If you're feeding them incorrect stories and then you want to like poke fun and say ha 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 ha, the internet was wrong, the internet was wrong. I mean, yeah, they trusted you. They printed what you said. And if you don't I don't get it. I don't get it why they took this moment of Alexa Bliss coming back after, I mean, how long was she out? Over a year. She had a baby, she got married, life stuff happened. Good for her. I'm happy for her. But the fact that like you wanted to yell the internet is wrong, the internet is wrong, like it really was giving it's fake news. It's fake news. Everybody knows Alexa Bliss loves the WWE. It's coming out. She's gonna wear a Fiend Forever jacket with a little R, so it's like Friends. It is crazy to me because I don't know what's going on in WWE's backstage, but if you remember back in the day, Vince McMahon had a headset to Michael Cole and would tell him to say stuff. I highly doubt in the changing of the guard, they just don't do that anymore. Like I know Triple H. I know what they say about him. He is constantly on the internet. He is a internet wrestling fan. He's got burner accounts, they say. And this is just, I think this is one of these instances where Triple H is like, I want to show that we're smarter than everybody else, and you better tune in because you don't know what's going to happen. Like, I think that that's exactly what it was. And it ultimately just stepped all over this. And they also absolutely blew the shot of the back of the jacket. The only reason we know what it said is somebody else posted the videos of it or the photos of her jacket. But they missed that. They stepped all over her entrance. Which ultimately was the loudest, like one of the loudest papas of the night coming from her. And you used it as like a nee, we got you, we're smarter than you. And I think it was in bad taste, to be honest. It's not like something I'm going to like write home about. Like, I don't want to be the friend who's like too sensitive on this, but it's like, really, guys? That's what you chose to do here? When she even came out in a nice memorial jacket, like, okay, dorks, thanks.
A Fiend Forever jacket in honor of Bray Wyatt, Stephanie Vaca and Julia with the NXT cameos at 24 and 28 respectively, and Trish Stratus and star of US Traitors Nikki Bella got the legend spots at 25 and 30. All really fun.
At the end of the show, at the press conference, not the press conference, but the post show with like Big E and Joe Tessitore, they mentioned that Nikki Bella is just back. Like she's back? Like she's gonna be there on Monday back? What are we talking about? I don't know, right? I don't want to be mean to Nikki Bella. She's had a lot of life stuff going on this year, and obviously, like, hey, you're back in wrestling. It's something that you did for a living. Maybe you enjoy it. Great, I'm glad you're back. But like, I don't think we like need it. I think that ultimately there will be time if they use her, right? I think there's going to be time used on Nikki Bella that they could use on other wrestlers, other women in that division who can come up and be the next big thing, because at the end of the day, Nikki Bella, you're on the way out. Like, I'm not trying to be mean to her, but there's less Nikki Bella matches ahead of us than there's less Nikki Bella matches ahead of us than there is behind us. And I understand the nostalgia pop. There's gonna be a lot of people who enjoy her, but also coming back the last year of John Cena. Okay, girl, it's giving, let's not do that, right? I don't like that. Obviously I don't know. She has feelings for him. They also were together for a long time, but I don't like that so much. I think we could just do without her, I'll be honest.
Pops, but they mostly felt like high spots, not connecting with the women's division's current storyline because there aren't any. Ultimately, this was a lot of ice.
Yeah, other than like the Naomi storyline, or the Naomi, Bianca, and Jade storyline, there's not exactly a lot going on. This did suffer from the instance of same thing with the same. It was some of the issues with the women's matches I also had with the men's matches, that WWE's lack of star power right now, to me, is, especially in the women's division, is apparent. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of good female wrestlers right now, but no one feels, other than like Rhea, who is obviously not in this match because she's a champion. Charlotte's back, which I think does help this, But it's hard for me to see anyone in the women's division that I'm just like, yes, I have to have this person back. I have to have them on my television screen. And I think that's because of the stories. It's not, I don't think it's anything having to do with the women or their wrestling abilities or anything like that. I just think the stories that are being written for the women's division right now are bad. I just don't think they are very good. We need to be able to tell these stories. There are very talented women on that roster, and you should be able to write some stories that are going to, I would say, enhance and create more dynamic characters than what we currently have. I mean, honestly, my biggest issue with one of the biggest stories in 2024 was Liv and Rhea, which ultimately boiled down to, you took my boyfriend and my title while I was injured. Now I am here to take those things back. I don't actually want the boy, but we fought over the boy and put him in like a shark cage. Like, that doesn't scream Rhea Ripley to me. It doesn't feel like Rhea Ripley is supposed to be this strong woman who doesn't need no man. It's like she is a badass on her own. But the fact that like we made her sad because like her boyfriend left her, like in kayfabe they even talked about it where Damian Priest was like, have you talked to Rhea? And he's like, yeah, I talk to her all the time. She was out for like 4 months and Dom didn't call her. Like, storyline wise, that's your boyfriend and he doesn't call you for 4 months. He's not your boyfriend anymore. Why are we going back to that? Why did we have to do this story of like, oh, the double cross? He was actually working with Liv on. No shit, guys. He didn't call her. And it's just, they took Rhea Ripley as a strong woman and they ultimately just made her like, I need a man. Like, that's the dumbest stuff imaginable. I hate when they do this with the women's storylines. I don't want my women's wrestling to revolve around a man. Like, I don't need it. There's enough complex stories that you could tell. There's not a lot of men's storylines that revolve around a woman that are just like, hey, I'm a man and I want my woman back. You took my woman. Like, we don't do that stuff anymore. Do you know why? Because it's terrible stories. There's not enough rising action. There's not enough conflict. It's my same problem that I have with the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre stuff. It's like, well, where's the character development? We started out, we didn't like each other. We don't like each other. We continue to don't like each other. I've done something bad to you. You've done something bad to me. We have a match and we still don't like each other. I don't see anything happening in that realm that is just entertaining to me. I don't. They have to be able to have like character growth. And that's the one thing I see in WWE stories right now that is lacking. Now, when they did it with the bloodline stuff, that worked great. But WWE's leadership under Triple H, because that bloodline stuff where he was growing up, Roman was growing up and being a different person, was in the Vince McMahon era. I know we don't like to talk about it, and we will be talking about Vince McMahon and his new allegations later today on this not new allegations, but updated allegations on this same stream. But he told that story and there was actual character growth there, which obviously does not like excuse him for being the piece of crap he is, but it at least had some kind of development. And I just don't see that so much under Triple H's booking.
Slated moments to fill time until Charlotte wins, LOL. When Flair made her return at 27, one of the best numbers to have in the Rumble, I thought they were leaning so much into her winning that it might be a swerve. So WWE did the meta swerve and had her win anyway. Nia Jax eliminated a bunch of your favorites, like she just selected a spreadsheet line in Excel and hit.
So the thing with Charlotte Flair is I think Charlotte Flair is in that Jon Moxley role in AEW. Break glass in case of emergency. There is not a lot of women's story going on, but you can instantly bring Charlotte Flair in, have her go, she won the Royal Rumble. You know Charlotte Flair. If you don't, you know Ric Flair. That's his daughter. She's really good at wrestling. And then you're off to the races. Like, obviously, I don't know which way they're going to go with it. I think if I had the pin, I think I'm going to put Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton. And the reason I do that over Liv Morgan is I'm not going to sacrifice Liv Morgan's push. Not Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley. I'm not sacrificing Rhea Ripley to Charlotte Flair. I think if you're going to do Charlotte versus Rhea, that has to be at a WrestleMania with an actual storyline in it. I know they have a few months until WrestleMania. They could probably drum up one if they so choose, and they might indeed in fact do that. But I think the more interesting story is against Tiffany Stratton. I think Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, have a little bit in common. And I think that story could be told. I think that they also both have gymnast backgrounds. I think that that is helpful for both of them. I think that that's the way I would go. Also, Charlotte Flair coming back. She had a sparkly knee brace. If you haven't checked it out, she has a bedazzled knee brace. It is very funny. There was also a wardrobe malfunction on 2 wardrobe malfunctions, not like Super Bowl style, but shout out to Liv Morgan. Lila Valkyria was having an issue with her top. The strap that hooked it around her neck came off. She was struggling with it, and Liv Morgan had the wherewithal as the veteran to realize someone was having an issue with their outfit. She went over, gave her a big forearm, boom, put her down and Lila Valkyria just went into the corner. They shot everything on the right-hand side of the ring while they fixed her top. And I was like, oh, perfect, great, good job. You did exactly what you're supposed to do. That is the professional in professional wrestling, and I love that. It's the little things, right? It's the little things you see in professional wrestling that if you've been watching long enough, you catch on. You're like, oh, yeah, that's cool. I like that. Good stuff. Also, Charlotte Flair couldn't get her robe off. Allegedly, is what she said. Is what she said in the press conference. So she had to like snap the buckle that it was holding on to. Which also, I think Charlotte Flair has some of the best gear. That robe looked so sick coming out last night. I like Charlotte Flair, but she is the in case of issue break glass. Like she is a sure thing. You're going to get a good match out of her. You're going to get good promos, good reactions for people. And I know a lot of people are going to immediately go, Charlotte Hogan. Like, dude, who else, right? She's been gone for a year. Charlotte is a main event player. She is not going to be at the middle of the card. She's not going to be fighting for the women's IC title and the US title. It's not her station anymore. Like she's beyond it. Honestly, I would like for her to hold those belts eventually and a tag title, make a Grand Slam champion out of her. I think that would be great. But yeah, Charlotte it's a safe bet to go with. James in the chat saying Liv deserves a lot of respect. She does. She's come a long, long way, and she's put in the work and the effort. And I think WWE has ultimately realized they do have something really good with her. She's a solid hand. But I need more character development from her. Right? It's the same issue that I'm having with all the women in the WWE. They're pretty one-dimensional. And that's what bothers me. And I think that these women can be written better. And I know WWE has the habit of telling very overt, I don't want to say shallow stories, but like we're not getting human psychology. Like we're just getting like, no, you don't like me. Like we're getting that kind of stuff. But give me something different, right? And maybe we'll get that with the John Cena stuff because we'll get to that in a little while. But he was kind of weirdly introspective in his press conference. So hopefully that is what's going to happen.
Clear row. It was so Charlotte, currently a babyface, wouldn't get crowd heat for getting rid of people like Io and Liv, who had been in there from the start. Perez threw out Nia to give her an extra boost as the match's runner-up and longest ever performance, and then Flair quickly eliminated Perez to win. Overall, a superficially fun Rumble with a predictable winner that did relatively little to set up any other feuds for WrestleMania. A WWE Tag Team Championship match.
Yeah, I don't think it did. I think that the women's match did not do them any favors in setting up anything for WrestleMania. I agree with Ollie here. Obviously, I think it did set up the Jordan Grace going to NXT and wrestling Julia. I'm excited to see that. That takeover will probably rule. Jordan Grace also had one of the spots of the night when she did the rolling, I guess it's a Death Valley Driver. What is it? She gets on the shoulders to the fireman's carry. No, it's a Death Valley Driver. Onto Piper Niven. Looked great. I forget how short Jordan Grace is, but she is absolutely strong. And I want to say one of the most interesting things about like seeing Jordan Grace over the last couple, like 10 years or 6 years, has been her transformation in her body. Like she went from kind of a powerlifting frame to like a bodybuilding frame to like, I think where she's at now is the right size for her. Like there was a point in TNA that I was like, she's real big she's real muscular for her size. And I get it. Like that is a look. I just thought it was a little much, right? She has changed her body completely. She looks great. James Chesson have been following her for a long time. I'm surprised Jonathan Gresham didn't come too. I don't think they want Jonathan Gresham. Nothing wrong with him. I think he's a great wrestler. He had some like pain, like some kind of like he didn't want to lose type of situation. That's why he didn't go to AEW. But he is short though. Yeah, too short. Okay. I like Jonathan Gresham. He is like 5'4". I don't know how tall is he. I don't want to lie on him. Yeah, height. It was his second thing. 5'4". He is 5'4", and that is rough. That there has been a myriad of people throughout the history of professional wrestling that if they were 6 foot tall, they would be world champion. I think Jonathan Gresham, unfortunately, is that guy. Unfortunately, right? You can't control. As the philosopher, the great philosopher. I was going to call him the real one because that's his new gimmick, but Enzo Amore, there it is. The great philosopher, Enzo Amore. Height. You can't teach that. You can't. And there you go. And I think that's what it is. This Motor City Machine Guns match versus DIY. I got absolutely mind melted, bricked by my friend Steven at the watch party we were at. I was thinking this match was going to be like, meh, like I don't care. And he said, dude, what if he lets DIY just do black and gold stuff? You got the Motor City Machine Guns, 2 out of 3 falls at the Royal Rumble. There's only 4 matches on the card. Let the bros go out and have an absolute all-time match. And they absolutely did not. This match was awful. I'm sorry. Like, not like awful in the sense of like it wasn't watchable, but this had the greatest potential to be such a huge match. And it wasn't. This was such a letdown. I am sorry. It's a bigger letdown than the finish of the men's Royal Rumble for me. I thought this was painful. The crowd did not seem into it. The wrestlers were doing their best, like going out there and having a decent match. But I think it was a 14-minute match, 2 out of 3 fall, and it was done and over with. It was shorter than some of the commercial breaks.
Between the Motor City Machine Guns and DIY could have been an NXT TakeOver level classic on another show. They've had a logically built feud of getting 1 win apiece and then a no contest over the titles, setting up the 2 out of 3 falls match here. But they were in the filler spot between the Women's Rumble and the WWE Championship matches, and were never given enough time to tell the kind of story the stipulation requires. Yep. They crammed 3 falls into just 14 minutes, which stopped the crowd properly getting involved until the final third, which is a shame as the first fall was incredibly smart, with a fake-out DIY tag letting Ciampa get a pin. The guns predictably leveled, and DIY ended up winning when the Street Profits interfered. But then the Street Profits also beat up DIY too. So this was mostly an angle to build a 3-way feud for another show.
Yeah, the finish of this match was absolutely atrocious. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't care. I don't care about the heel Street Profit. I don't care. I'm sorry. It's not for me, and that's fine. It's for somebody who likes the Street Profits or people out there who like them, but like, give me, if you want to do this, right? If you want to get this Street Profits and have them be heels, have them just attack somebody after the match and let these guys actually have a real, proper, good wrestling match, because it was absolutely just... This is the problem I have with WWE sometimes, is I know that everyone on that roster can work. I know especially that DIY can work because, and this is true, they used to let them cook on NXT. I know the Motor City Machine Guns can work because I've been watching the Motor City Machine Guns for 15 years. And they can go. But they don't let them. They just don't. And it's so frustrating to see. Like, you basically have Ferraris and Porsches all over the garage, but you have governors on them that like won't let you go over 45. It is ridiculous. Like, let these guys wrestle. Let them cook. Like, they let them cook on Raw once before. Yes, and that's the thing. This felt like a Raw or SmackDown match, like, in not a good way. Not the good one they had. But this just feels like meh. This feels like this is not a pay-per-view quality match. And I was hoping when Triple H took over, because in NXT, he let the boys cook. He let the boys get out there and absolutely mix it up. And that's just not happening nowadays. There's less wrestling on WWE television. There's less than an hour of wrestling on most episodes of WWE television at this point. Less than an hour on 3-hour shows. There was an hour of commercials on this 4-hour pay-per-view. It's getting tedious. I understand, like, they're trying to make more money. That's the nature of the beast when you're a publicly traded company. You have to make more money quarter after quarter, and advertising revenue is one of those things that you can make money with. I totally get that. It's not lost on me. I understand the business side of professional wrestling. it doesn't mean I have to like it. And that's what I understand. That's what always drives me crazy when we're having this discourse about professional wrestling. Like, well, it's a business. Yeah, and I'm a consumer. Like, I can complain about these things because I do, in fact, hate it.
WWE announced their Clash in Paris event for the 31st of August, which has absolutely nothing to do with AEW's Europe-based show the week before. Then they introduced another new great piece of production where they would play archive clips of the wrestling legends before they were shown watching in the crowd. The Godfather, Mickey James, Kurt Angle, Ron...
Oh, yeah, I don't know if he's going to mention it.
Simmons, Rick Steiner, and RVD were all in attendance.
Nah, he did not mention it, but the Godfather totally chiefed the Penelope Ford. He hit the pinafore, or when they came to him. When you could see him, he had it cupped up in the hand. See him hit it, exhales, and then he hit him with one of these. Like he was like, I saw that rap. They let Travis Scott hit the blunt on television. Why can't I do it on a pay-per-view? And maybe it wasn't. It definitely was. The ads make the products borderline impossible. It makes the Matt in the chat saying the ads make the product borderline impossible to watch for me. It is kind of whack. Like, I was enjoying this ladder match. We're gonna get to that here in just a minute. But I was enjoying the ladder match. But there's just Wingstop ads on literally every single surface. Every single surface. I'm like, oh, like, okay, cool. Like, I hate it.
And Stephen Amell. The first half of the show was fun, but a bit superficial. The Women's Rumble was always Charlotte's to win. The tag title match was more to further a feud on TV, but it's all about how you leave them, folks. And the second half was all killer, no filler. Emphasis on the killer and Kevin Owens' head. First up was Cody Rhodes defending his WWE Championship against Kevin Owens in a ladder match, which started with the most insane spot of the night. Cody walking under a ladder on the entrance ramp. Cody's superstition, walking under ladder. The crowd were heavily into this from the start because the feud has been so well told. Those 4 months of intensity were paid off with a fierce brawl through the crowd.
This is what I'm talking about. There's character development from Kevin Owens, and that's why this works, right? Cody Rhodes is the same guy. Doesn't really change. He was a little meaner here, but we didn't see John Cena. We saw John Cena do the same kind of stuff earlier, in his career too, where he got those moments where he was like, I am a baby face, but I am also can be angry. James and Chess, best Cody defense. It was the best Cody defense that I've seen out of him for sure. And I do think a lot of that has to do with Kevin Owens as well. Kevin Owens and ladder. Here we go. Here's a take, right? This was a very good WWE ladder match. This was also a mid Kevin Owens ladder match. I don't know. I grew up watching Kevin Owens in ROH, Ladder Wars, him and Generico. Absolutely insane stuff. Absolutely crazy bumps I've seen out of Kevin Owens. And let Kevin Owens build stuff. WWE has done it occasionally. But when he was in ROH, the dude was the Lego master builder. He was like, I got 7 ladders, and I'm going to make a structure that ultimately I'm going to take a bump through, and it's going to be sick. Let him build. I know Kevin Owens can absolutely cook. That's why I 1,000% want 1 year of Kevin Owens in AEW. Just give me 1 year of Steen. I do not care if he leaves and goes back to WWE. I need one more Steen run out of him. And I know a lot of people are like, well, they're like Kevin Owens be edgy. Kevin Owens is different than Kevin Steen. Kevin Steen is an absolute bastard, and I want him back so bad. But very good spots in this match. Very interesting to see Cody Rhodes have that gear, flip that gear. I was thinking 1,000% they were going to do a cutter off the ladder because Kevin Owens is athletic enough to do it, and it's a cool spot that Cody's done in the past. Didn't happen. That's okay. But there was a lot of good that came out of this match. But let's let them keep talking.
And then all the ladder spots your sicko heart desired. There was even a little baby ladder. At one point, there were so many ladders in the ring, I needed the stats graphic from the Rumble earlier to know how many...
Okay, so this picture real quick. Cody Rhodes kicked the bottom rung of the ladder and broke it off and started beating Kevin Owens with it. And Wade Barrett, somebody was on commentary, Michael Cole goes, does that look familiar, Wade? And he was like, oh yeah, I used to do it all the time. That's my signature. And I was like, I don't remember that. I remember that at all. He do you used to do that? Were you in a lot of ladder matches, Wade? Well, thanks for smarting me up on that. Like, it definitely feels like one of those instances where they were going through the match earlier in the day, and Wade was like, "What if you do the thing where I kicked my ladder, where I broke the thing, I broke the bottom rung, and then beat somebody with it?" And Cody was like, "Did you used to do that?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's kind of my thing, guys. I was known for that." And they're like, "Oh, I thought you were known for riding a scissor lift and hitting a gavel and laughing and saying you had bad news." And he's like, "No, I'm pretty sure people remember my ladder spot." And like, "Oh, was that when you were in the core?" And he's like, "Never mind, just forget it."
When he were currently active. Because it's Kevin Owens in a ladder match, he of course took the night's 2 worst bumps. Being back body dropped onto a ladder on its side, and for the finish, being Alabama slammed, shout out to Bob Holly, off the announce table through a ladder bridge, which briefly made it look like KO's head had fallen off.
Such a good bump. Such a good way to end it, too. Kevin Owens just sitting there for like an extended period of time, like really sold it. I love that spot. I thought it was really good. This ladder, when it broke, a bunch of pink stuff came out of it. I'm not sure what this ladder is made out of, but I'm glad it's not real steel. I'm happy about that. I know it's a working ladder, so as long as no one's not walking away from it, and it looked great. And this showed a little bit of fire from Cody Rhodes. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who say things like, "Oh, Cody's going to go heel now. He's going to go heel." No, Cody's not going to go heel. Cody is in this John Cena role. Cody's job right now is to be champ and sell Lunchbox. That's all it's meant to do. He is meant to sell things to kids at this point because he's going to be the consummate good guy. I'm not saying like he can't have streaks of vengeance. Obviously, I think that this is a fine use of force from Cody because ultimately on that same announce table, Kevin Owens hit the package pile driver, took him out a couple weeks, blah, blah, blah. I think that this is a fine payback for it. But having said that, I don't think Cody Rhodes is going to be Homelander. And that's the thing. What was so funny to me is that Chris Van Vliet interview where Cody Rhodes, they talk about Homelander. He goes, "I wasn't even trying to be Homelander." He's like, "I made my outfit off of Colonial Soldiers," which also the designer of Homelander used the Colonial Soldiers outfit. When you use the same source material, you might look similar. You're not getting Homelander Cody Rhodes. You're not getting it. Unless something goes drastically wrong and Cody Rhodes is like, he can't be a good guy anymore because of whatever reason. Because think about this, he wasn't even a good guy in AEW when they were like, he brought out a golden shovel from the bottom of the ring and was like, I'm gonna be bad. I'm gonna do the bad thing. I got a golden shovel. Very subtle. What does this mean? And then he was like, "No, I'm still a good guy." You're like, "Yeah, you're not a good guy. What are you talking about?" And he's like, No, I'm still fine. I'm good." And you're like, "Okay, Cody, whatever." But I think he's going to be in this role of John Cena, which he should be in. He looks great. He's a great ambassador for the company, right? I think Cody's a better heel. Then again, I don't think that WWE is so much in the market of we need to make sure that we have good heels and, we don't need a strong heel. We need somebody who's going to sell Lunchbox. That's what Cody is here to do. And when Cody won this match, he was standing on top of the ladder for an awful long time. I don't know what was going on. It was just kind of weird. But ultimately, I do also think it's hilarious that he had to take down the WWE Championship and then like that replica belt that they gave Kevin Owens. Could we not get the real one out of storage? I'm sorry. Can we just get the real title? Because that title did not look good on television. Kind of disrespectful.
But it might not have just been Kevin's neck that snapped. Cody ran up the ladder in the ring to unhook the belts and retain, but this wasn't the white meat babyface Cody of 2024. This felt like an increasingly unhinged, violent Cody who has been pushed to his limit. He made a point to pose behind a blooded Owens at the end, tiptoeing the line that separates justified vengeance from gloating. Sami Zayn was out there too by this point, tending to his friend KO. This could go
right, and I understand. And I think that what they're going to do is like, it'll be justified. Because like, "Oh, you were gloating when I was injured, Cody. You're not a good guy. You're actually a bad guy. I can't believe you come out here and say that you're a good guy." And I think you tell that story and you're like, Cody's like, "Well, am I the bad guy?" And like, no, Cody's the good guy. And that's fine. We can do that story. That at least shows some kind of character development in Cody to just say like, "Oh, I have that dog in me still, but also buy Lunchbox." Like, I think that that's perfect. James is saying, KO, I kind of wanted actually to hold the fake belt a little longer. Yeah, I mean, okay, so what's gonna happen? Is Cody gonna show up with a fake belt on Monday? Or is he just like, here, Triple H, go put this back in the warehouse? Like,
Go in a few different directions. Owens could be angry with Sammy for not helping him win, or Sammy could start to see Cody in a different light. For what it's worth, WWE announced on the post-show that Cody suffered multiple injuries in the match, which is why he couldn't speak to the media. Jackie Redmond said his in-ring status may be uncertain, which could rule him out of WrestleMania season. So tune into Smackdown this Friday to see if he's okay. The promo line made me think it was a bit of a work. Thankfully, Jackie's mic worked for that announcement, because Big E and Joe Tessitore sure didn't when they promoted the post-show just before the main.
yeah, Kevin Owens is not wrestling Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. John Cena is. John Cena is going to wrestle Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Damn in the chat there saying I can't wait to see Logan Paul versus CM Punk. We'll get to that.
main event, they had the wrong audio. And then it was time for arguably the best built Royal Rumble match in WWE history. And it started off in the best possible way, with Rey Mysterio at numero uno and Penta as numero dos. Just casually starting off with a dream match, they shook hands and Penta did his first of 5.5 Zero Miedos for the night. The bell rang and they botched a spot.
Dude, the thing was so funny to me is when he hit the first Zero Miedo and like he hit it, large reaction from the crowd, and then Rey Mysterio goes to hit like I've never seen him do that. He goes 6-1 and then he holds up 9 and like no one knew what he was doing. He was like, "Oh, you have a hand gesture? I have a hand gesture." And people are like, "We don't know that one." Like has he ever done that before? Have he Maybe I'm missed out. Maybe I missed out. Maybe Rey Mysterio does 619 and he chants it, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, they immediately botched a spot. I'm sure he's going to talk about the Penta touched the floor. And when we were watching this live, there was a big reaction at the watch party, and people were like, "Did he touch? Did he touch?" And I said, "Sorry." And I told the people there, I said, if they show it on the replay, he didn't touch. If they don't show it on the replay, he definitely touched. Because, and this is true, if he kept 1 foot off the floor, they would have showed that replay 5 times and would have talked about the dexterity and the wherewithal in Pentagon Jr. Even though he's new to the WWE, he has control over his body, and that's why he's one of the greatest luchadors out there. They would have done that. When they didn't show it, it was immediately like, oh yeah, he touched the floor. 100. Yeah, James, he said he botched four in the spot. Pentagon was very sloppy. And that's the thing. I saw people say, well, he's probably just a little nervous. He's never wrestled in this front of many people before. Dude, he wrestled at Wembley at the first All In. At Wembley, not the first one, but the All In Wembley, the big one. He wrestled in front of like 80,000 people before. He does sometimes mess up. And that happens, right? That's going to happen wherever you go. And I think it's going to happen a lot with Penta as well. And not to say that because Penta is bad at wrestling. I think Penta is incredible at wrestling. But I think when you wrestle a particular style for near 20 years and you have to come and adapt to the WWE style, your footing is muscle memory. You know how many steps you're taking, you know how fast you're going. You're used to that. But now you start taking like slower steps. You're waiting. You're going to be out of sync. And unfortunately, I think that's what's going on with Pentagon Jr. in WWE.
With both of Penta's feet clearly touching the floor. Right after came Chad Gable, the scourge of the luchadors. Just 3 entrants in, and every one of them felt...
Yeah, can we talk about why the overly American guy seems to be hating on all the Hispanic wrestlers? Like, read the room. What are we doing? The guy who's dressed like an American flag is like, I need to beat up the Hispanic guys. And Triple H, what are we doing, buddy? Like, look, here's my thing. You can't be booker of this television show and do stuff like the overly American man hates the Hispanic guys and wants to beat them when you go to Donald Trump's New Year's Eve party. You can't. I need you to like figure it out. I need you to not do that.
Connected with months or years of storyline context. The midcard got into full speed, however, with Bron Breakker at number 7, where he eliminated Hayes and Escobar right away. To describe part of the Rumble as midcard usually means it's a bit, well, mid. But WWE have done such a good job with their roster, I was as into this and their interactions as anything else. And then came the big comedy spot.
But here's the thing, right? They definitely have the mid card section, and it is unfortunate because like Santos Escobar came in, Carmelo Hayes came in, and there was a lot of guys that are just kind of like, all right. I'm having a hard time connecting with them. It's just I don't think they've done them many favors in the mid card. The storylines aren't particularly great. There's nothing that's connecting me to these wrestlers. But there was a definitive line where like they were like, okay, now we're cooking. Like about halfway through, they're like Roman came out and everybody else started showing up. You're like, all right, now we have like here's the people who are gonna win. The beginning of this match was a little fillery. Now this part where Akira Tozawa gets taken out and I Show Speed shows up. Okay, I'm into this.
Spot of the night. The just eliminated Hayes took out number 8 entrant Akira Tozawa in frustration as they passed on the ramp. The camera followed Akira back into the gorilla position, where Triple H hastily sent YouTuber I Show Speed, who was live streaming the event from backstage, to enter the Rumble in his place.
I'm really glad they had the graphics ready for I Show Speed because he was just happened to be there and like in kayfabe, right? The graphics department, there's somebody just sitting in there and they're like, Speed, you're in the Rumble. And they're like, oh my God, there's I Show Speed's about to enter the Rumble. We need to make him a graphic. What do we got? He goes, I got the Roman Reigns font loaded. And he just types in Speed and they like, send it. And they just like, oh, okay, good. I'm glad we had music and graphics for Speed ready to go on that surprise.
The Rumble in his place. In the past, WWE putting an influencer in a Rumble would get a collective groan. But Speed's yelp of horror and excitement, and then the Fact Breaker absolutely killed him with a spear, and then Otis threw him over the...
Oh, we're just gonna ignore the fact that he eliminated Otis as well? Dude, that spear. I don't know what they told I Show Speed. I have to imagine at some point during the day when they were talking to him and they go up and Triple H is like, so what do you want to do tonight? I'm thinking you go out there and we toss you over the top rope. We have a big guy catch you. And he's like, oh yeah, that's fine. We can do that. I would like anything else you want to do? You could get speared by Braun Breaker. Okay, yeah, that's fine. We can do that too. Are you serious, kid? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. Just have him hit me. He hit this poor man so hard. I have to ask questions about Braun Breaker and his feelings on certain people in the world because he hit this man. I've never seen a spear like that. And I know it. I want to say, I don't know if he's taking liberties with him. I don't know if he told him. It's hard for me to believe that he told him, I'm going to hit you at 27 miles an hour like an NFL linebacker because this guy, he played college ball, didn't he? I didn't Braun Breaker. Somebody didn't fact check me in the chat, but I'm pretty sure he played college ball. Getting hit by somebody who played football or somebody who is athletic as Braun Breaker is insane. I don't know if he thought like he would kind of go easy on him. Kennesaw State in Georgia. There you go. Yeah, so he did play football. It is, he hit him so hard. It's just hard for me to believe that Braun Breaker told him, he's like, I'm going to hit you the hardest you've ever been hit in your entire life. You're going to be in a car accident, essentially. I just can't imagine that is what got told to him. And then Otis here, absolutely clearing the desk off with him was a great spot too. I think it worked, right? I think it is a great social media spot for him. I know a lot of people have complained about social media influencers being involved in wrestling, whether it's the Costco guys, which, he's actually a worker. This was great. I think it was a great use of him. They ragdolled him. They threw him out. It was perfect. It was exactly what it needed to be. Also, like kayfabe, why Triple H was just looking at other people in the back, and they were like, "Who can join the Royal Rumble?" And Adam Pearce is standing there like, "I used to do a little bit of wrestling myself here, Triple H." He's like, "No, get the kid. Send the streamer." And they absolutely destroyed him. More eyes are always better. Yeah, well, here's the thing. WWE has this habit of doing things for the eyeballs that sometimes are whack. I'll be honest. Some of the things they do as they're like, oh, look, we're social media, like we're hip and with it, are absolutely whack. But like the Travis Scott stuff they did at the Netflix preview, at the Netflix show, great. Love that. Very cool. Same thing here. I think that their current use of celebrity works, but also in that current use of celebrity, they're also just like, look at T-Pain, look at Cuervo. Like, it's like, oh, okay, great. Yeah, I see him. There's Stephen Amell. Wave to the camera, Stephen Amell. Like that kind of stuff I could do without. This kind of stuff, Did we ever hear? Did he get hurt? Is he good? Like, was he streaming today? I don't know if iShowSpeed was streaming today or if he streams every day. I don't know. I don't watch him. But he got absolutely destroyed. They're picking some good people to do the in-ring stuff. Yeah, that's good. That's perfect. Whoever's doing this stuff right now, whoever's planning this stuff has their finger on the pulse, has a little bit of understanding. They were like, he's not going to get speared. You're like, okay, whatever, fine.
Announce desk was the perfect execution. Emphasis on the execution. Then came the Jacob Fatu middle section, coming out at number 12. Every entrant.
The hot take of the year, why Jacob Fatu is so over, because he's the least WWE coded guy in the WWE. Everybody else feels so prim and polished and not like a real person. Jacob Fatu feels like a real person. He talks like he is about that life. He's very good at what he does, but the big thing about him is he is just himself. And that's the one thing that is devoid from so many of other people. Even like CM Punk feels overly preachy and not like a real human being. A real scary dude. That promo that he cut on Smackdown when he was like, we got it out the mud. You know I came from the box. I was like, yeah, he's scary. But here is the other part of this two-part Jacob Fatu take. Jacob Fatu is a convicted felon wrestling for the WWE, and he would not have gotten that opportunity if his last name was not Fatu, ultimately making Jacob Fatu a Nepo hire. He is a Nepo baby. The only reason he's getting this opportunity is that ultimately, I do feel that same way about the Usos. They have way too many DUIs between them, 5 for the total. One of them has 4. I'll let you guess. They wouldn't be in here if they weren't related to The Rock or the Samoan dynasty. There is a lot of, I truly do feel this way about Jacob Fatu. He's very good. Do not get me wrong. He is very good. He would have gotten here, but the fact that he has the things that he has going on, had with him previously, I feel like would disqualify him in WWE. Now, hats off to him. He is very good at what he does. He is making the best of his opportunities, and from everybody's stories, he's a very good person. Like, we all make mistakes in life. I'm not saying like we should hold him accountable. Well, I mean, hold him accountable. He served his time, right? Okay. But he wouldn't be getting these opportunities. He'd be wrestling Nick Gage on GCW if he wasn't a Fatu.
Following Jacob would have the same pattern. Play your music, run wild, then have a really cool stare down with Fatu. I could do a 50-man rumble with that template and still not get bored. Barely able to catch your breath by number 15, say his name, and he appears. TNA champion Joe Hendry entered to an enormous pop.
I know I'm going to get buried in the comments for this take. I don't care about Joe Hendry. I don't care. He is a meme wrestler. He's got a good entrance. People like it. They sing. He's entertaining in the sense of like he does musical stuff. He's not for me. I don't, when he gets in the ring, I don't care. I like everything up until the point that he steps foot in the ring. I haven't seen anything out of him that I'm like, yep, I got to see more of him. Like, he's funny. He's a good SNL skit. Like, that's all it is. Like, he's got good, like, he's comedic. He's got good comedic chops. But he's just kind of there.
I'm so happy for him. And then the Rumble reminded you it had another gear. I was enjoying the mid-card so much, I kind of forgot about all the main eventers. As the second...
They also didn't let Joe Hendry have his moment with John Cena at all. They were like, hey, welcome. You did your entrance. Great. Now here's Roman Reigns. Go back to TNA. See you later. He didn't get himself over. No. And that's the thing. It is just the entrance. And I know a lot of people like to say entrance merchant for a lot of people, but entrance merchant 100 times, 1,000 times. I haven't seen anything from in the ring that I've ever been like, yep, I got to see more Joe Hendry. I haven't.
Second half of the match, at number 16, saw Roman Reigns enter his first Rumble in 5 years. He eliminates Sheamus, he eliminates Hendry, then it's him versus Breakker, but Breakker spears him, but Roman reverses his elimination.
Yo, that spear on Roman was a little tough, and it definitely had the feeling if this was Vince McMahon was still in charge, Bron Breakker would be wrestling on Twitter exclusively after hitting Roman Reigns that hard, which ironically enough, that show is also called Speed.
You could say that's a future WrestleMania main event, but commentary saved that line for Roman's next interaction as Reigns went face to face with Jacob Fatu.
Damn, James in the chat's really cooking with this one. He says it's true though. Unfortunately, he was given a huge chance and he didn't get. And he just got booked as a geek. That's the TNA champion, the top guy of TNA. Yeah, dude, it didn't do them any favors. He didn't look great. Everyone popped. They got the social media moment, and unfortunately for Joe Hendry, I feel like that's kind of the amount of care that was put into him. They said, go out there, play the song, do the clap, smile, get eliminated by Roman Reigns, and we'll think about using you in NXT again. We just wanted you here so you go. Also, go get on the flight, go to Jericho's boat. We just don't care about you. Like he did get booked like an absolute dork. He didn't even, not trying to be mean, but he didn't even get a tan. Oh, you are being mean. That's catty. I love it. Keep it up.
And then came out professional Roman hater Drew McIntyre. This has been a flawless Rumble so far. What the f*** is Finn Balor's new entrance music? Death Rebels suck. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk. Finn Balor came out and I was literally like, what's going on? Who is this? And then I saw it was Finn. I was like, oh. And I was like, have I just been missing Finn Balor's entrances lately? Does he have different music? No, apparently it was new. It was weird. Get rid of Death Rebel. Get him out of here. Bring me the CFOs again. I know a lot of people were like, CFOs was like overly poppy and kind of silly and electronic dance music. Yeah, I'll take it. They wrote Glorious. It's the best wrestling theme in 15 years. And if you don't agree with me, argue in the comments, and I'll tell you that you're wrong again.
Let's quickly move on, because then out came Jey Uso at number 20. AJ Styles makes a shock return at 21.
Love that AJ Styles came back, and he also came back not as big anymore. Remember when everyone was complaining, oh, where's AJ Styles? Where's AJ Styles? And they're like, fine, here's AJ Styles. Blows up his leg, and they're like, goodbye, AJ Styles. He came back so gassed up. I don't know if he's gassed. I don't know if he's on the T. I don't know if he's on the anabols. I'm not sure. But he came back as the biggest version of AJ. He came back as Randy Orton big. And then, he also came back with his old music. Good. Love the old music. It's the CFOs. And he came back as a normal size AJ Styles, which is great.
Roman is next and eliminates Fat.
They really should have redone the spot, though, when they played his music and have Roman Reigns look confused again. Like, who? Huh? Remember when he debuted in 2015? And they were like, he was like, who is this? I don't understand. And he's like, oh, it's AJ Styles. Okay. That would have been a funny callback.
Fatu furthering their feud. Then number...
Do they have a wellness policy anymore? I'm sure they do. But here's the thing. When you're of a certain age, you can get testosterone, and testosterone replacement therapy. Gender-affirming care for pro wrestler. So I don't think that necessarily it is I don't think he would pop for it. Because Randy came back, and Randy was a big, beefy boy, and people are like, hey, Randy, how did you get so big? 50. Oh, and then he's like, oh, don't worry about it.
Number 23 is John Cena, holding a last time is now towel.
Coming out at 23
Shut up,
because he's the GOAT.
2015 Cena hating Ollie. That made me emotional. I'm in peak wrestling right now. Oh my God, CM Punk's at number 4. Oh my God, he's also got pink trunks on. It's Cena, it's Roman, it's Punk, the Rumble's 3 winning favorites in the ring right now. Even though Punk and Roman are doing serious badass faces, but Cena is doing his goofiest, what?
John Cena was like really giving physical acting. He was going, like when he goes outside the ring, him and Jay at the end, like he looks at the ground like it's like literal lava. He goes, oh. John Cena is an anime character in the Royal Rumble, and I loved it.
I'm still tingling. And then outruns Seth Rollins at 25 and he goes straight for Punk. Dominic Mysterio, Sami Zayn, Damian Priest, LA Knight, and work smarter, not harder, Logan.
No, this is the worst number 30 since Rey Mysterio. Remember when they thought that Bryan Danielson was going to come back and it was Rey Mysterio and they were like, boo. I just don't care. I don't care about Logan Paul. I don't care about him in the least bit. That's the thing. I know a lot of people are like, well, he gets reactions and people boo him. Yeah, it's not because of their writing. They have not written Logan Paul in such a way that he is a bad guy. He is obnoxious, sure, but like he does not, the reactions that Logan Paul is getting is because people think he is a repugnant individual. And that's what I don't think people understand. I think that a lot of people in the wrestling spaces don't understand. They just think like a reaction's a reaction, but like I don't care. I think he's a bad person. Between his stuff, even his stuff in Japan a long time ago, his crypto scams, the way that he treats the island of Puerto Rico, it is awful. Like he's just he's gonna get booed, sure. And if you just want to listen to the response, okay, whatever, fine. But like the fact that we have to see Logan Paul all the time in WWE is just a bummer. And I think it's time we all have to make peace with the fact that Logan Paul is going to be world champ in the next 2 to 3 years. You have to understand that. And it did not help here when he is eliminating CM Punk. I understand you were trying to get a heel reaction from him, but we're not booing him because he eliminated CM Punk in storyline. We're mad about that. Like, we just are legitimately not liking Logan Paul, and I don't think he should get the honors of eliminating CM Punk. I don't think so. And what, is that going to turn into a 4-way match? Is that going to be the 4-way at WrestleMania? CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Logan Paul? God, I hope not. I really hope not. Like, Logan, I don't know. Is anybody in the chat, is anybody like excited to see Logan Paul? Like, I don't care about that match. Kind of think SK actually. SK, I don't know. Punk, Roman, and Seth is the way to go for Mania. Yeah, no, I get that. I'm with you there. If that's what they do, if they want Logan Paul in it, okay, cool. But what are they going to make that night one? That's just going to be like a match. That's not going to be that's not going to be the main event, right? Unless we're going to just completely bury Jey Uso and call him main event Jey Uso, but not give him the main event of WrestleMania. I don't know. Oh no.
Paul at the final 5 entrance.
Yeah,
Jey
put him over as the
accidentally
final
super
5.
kicked
Oh,
Sammy
no,
to
he's
eliminate
the
him,
30th,
meaning
but
there was
still.
no big spot where Sammy was caught in between the Bloodline and Seth. There wasn't a KO interaction either, which is probably for the best, as, remember, he doesn't currently have a head. Maybe Sammy will beat Gunther at Elimination Chamber and Jey will face Zayn at Mania. Most weirdly, though, was Damian suddenly eliminating Drew McIntyre. Felt like an odd...
What do you mean they're going to co-main event him, James? If they don't put main event Jey Uso, the winner of the Royal Rumble, in the last match of whatever night he's on, it's not the main event. We can say co-main event. It's a 8-match card with a 4 main event wrestling match. No, the last match of the night is the main event. I don't care how they want to sell it to me. There is one main event at every single show. I personally believe WWE, there is one main event of WrestleMania. Even though there's 2 nights, there is one main event, and that is the final match of WrestleMania. Sue me. That I understand you wanted to sell the building out twice so you can make double the money on WrestleMania. I get it. If I'm looking at WrestleMania as one complete show that just takes place over 2 nights, there's one main event, and it's the last match of the last night. Argue with the wall.
Odd choice. Priest isn't even on the same brand as Drew anymore, so they're not building a Mania 41 feud. And
Think of the merch. Yeah, think of the merch. It's going to be co-main event Jey Uso.
it felt like McIntyre had a lot more storyline stuff to do with the likes of Roman, Seth, and Punk. According to PW Insider and the Wrestling Observer, Drew was legitimately furious about this backstage, where he was allegedly screaming and cursing about how someone had to get their moves in at the expense of the other storylines in the match.
Yo, so I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's a work, but like, I don't know. I've been reading some of the articles. It might not be a work. It could be, though. Let's do it as, okay, if it's a work, great. Okay, they're moving towards a program with Drew and whoever he complained about. That's the end of the conversation if it's a work. If it's a shoot, and a lot of people, and there was reporters saying that they had heard it multiple times from multiple different people. I'm not sure exactly who they were talking about. I think the clubhouse leader is Pentagon Jr. or Penta. Maybe I'm wrong. I did see Penta doing an awful lot in the match, while a lot of guys were just chilling on the ground. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it is Penta. Maybe it isn't. Let me know in the comments what you think.
According to the Wrestling Observer, a lot of other participants in the Rumble felt this way too. Drew then reportedly stormed out the building before the match was over. Although 2 sites are independently saying they've corroborated this could still be a work. Similar to Drew storming out of Survivor Series 2023 when CM Punk returned to WWE.
I love if this is a work. This is also a way Drew McIntyre just gets to go home early. Like, he's like, I don't have to stick around. I just get to be angry and then leave. I love that. I hope that that's the case. He's like, I'm Drew McIntyre and I tell all my stories on the internet, and that's what I do.
Which led to one of the best on-screen feuds of 2024 between them. The final 6 ended up being Cena, Jey, Seth, Roman, Logan, and Punk. Seth and Roman had an awesome clash after being kept apart since last year's WrestleMania, which led to Punk throwing them both over the top rope. But then, out of nowhere, Logan Paul eliminated CM Punk. I was genuinely furious, but that is the intention. Well played, WWE. You made me not like a heel, much like everything, Bloodline.
But it's not that, dude. Yeah, I don't like Logan Paul throwing him over the top rope. Great. No, it's just, I just don't like Logan Paul. I think Logan Paul is not good for pro wrestling. I flat don't think I don't think we need him. I understand he means more eyeballs, but good God, like at a certain point we have to ask for a better class of person in professional wrestling. We already had wrestling already has a bunch of creeps and weirdos and bad guys. Like we don't need to bring celebrity creeps and weirdos and bad guys. We don't need it.
This spot had many layers, and it led to a violent brawl between Seth Roman and Punk on the outside, including 2 pretty stiff-looking stomps from Rollins onto Reigns. But it left a final 3 of Cena, Logan, and Jay. Just like Charlotte earlier, the drama was removed because it's such an obvious Cena wins LOL. And that's when the son of a bitch did the actual swerve. Logan got eliminated, and it came down to Jay and Cena battling on the ring apron. Jay escaped back in the ring off an AA attempt and pushed John Cena off to win. Jey Uso.
It was a moment that I definitely was. Here's the thing. My immediate reaction when this happened was like, what? Okay. But then I'm thinking, oh, well, okay, let's hold on. Let's see.
So the 6th or 7th favorite for this match won the whole thing in what might be the most shocking Rumble winner of all time. And watch Rikishi still find a way to be annoyed by it. He wouldn't have been my choice, but I can't deny how over he is and the importance of making you.
Dude, I know we talked about entrance merchants earlier. Jey Uso, entrance merchant. He's not for me. I get it. I'm not the target demographic, maybe. There's a lot of people like Jey Uso. That's fine. But ultimately, we have a character. No, I'm not even talking about the character. I don't know what his character is. His character is Yeet. His character is main event Jey Uso. What does that mean? I'm sorry, but back when I was writing wrestling, the whole idea behind your character was, can you explain your character in a few words or less? Like if somebody tuned in, they should be able to tell what your character is by watching you. And it's not. His character is wrestler. And I get it. There is multiple people whose character is wrestler. Those people are good wrestlers. I'm not saying Jey Uso is a terrible wrestler, but I don't see how you see his match from last year's WrestleMania and you say that's our guy. I don't see it. I just don't see how you say Jey Uso is the man to be the main event at WrestleMania. I get that a lot of people like to yell yeet. He sells t-shirts and he has a hand gesture that people like to repeat. I don't think that should be the baseline of whether or not you get a WrestleMania match or a WrestleMania main event. I know that some people were really excited to see Jey win. I get it. Here's the thing. I understand what that's like. I was a big Bryan Danielson fan, though Bryan Danielson, that was a very big crowd favorite. A lot of people didn't like him. They didn't understand. They're like, I don't like the wrestler guy. And to be honest, Bryan Danielson kind of was the wrestler guy, but he was the underdog in that story. I've seen Jey versus Gunther. It was definitely a match. I don't need to see it at WrestleMania. What are they going to do differently? Why am I like, obviously he's going to win. Like it's his moment. Sure. Whatever. And then maybe you have Gunther go after the other title. Maybe. But here's my theory on this. My take that I think I haven't heard anybody else say. Storyline wise, why would Jey Uso challenge Gunther for the Roman Reigns consolation prize title? It doesn't make any sense. That belt that Gunther has is the belt that was made because Roman Reigns held all the gold in WWE and they wanted a new top champion. I know Seth did a lot of work with it and he made that title mean something more, and Damian Priest tried to keep adding to that lineage and everything like that. But all the lineage, all the history of the WWE is in the belt that Cody Rhodes holds. If I have one match I can guarantee myself for the finals, and I want to etch my name in history, I want to hold the belt that has the lineage of Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't see why. I mean, it is a secondary world title to me. And maybe I'm out of pocket on that. Maybe I'm the incorrect one, but it is just ridiculous that he would challenge for that. And I know maybe it's like, well, I got to beat Gunther to get this thing off my back. No, just like go wrestle Cody. Go wrestle Cody. He should wrestle Cody, but he's not going to.
New stars. Hopefully, he actually gets a main event spot on one of the WrestleMania nights, as I'd hate to see the Royal Rumble winner main event Jey Uso do an opener. This was already the best built Rumble of all time, in my opinion. I'd like to wait until after
He has to be a main event match. You can't call a main event Jey Uso, have him win the Royal Rumble, and have him challenge on the opening match. He has to be the last match of the night on his respective night. And then the other match on the other night is going to be Cody Rhodes, whatever the match Cody Rhodes is having. CM Punk is not main eventing WrestleMania this year. Again, if he does, it's coming at the expense of main event Jey Uso. And I don't care if they want to tell me that it's a co-main event. It's not. WWE has booked themselves into this little corner again. And ultimately, I think they're just going to give Jey the main event spot. And they're going to hope it's going to get the reaction of that closing shot. And I think that is the desired result, is everyone in the entire arena is going to be yeeting and going up and down, and we'll have that video that we can show for the rest of time. I know there's big Jey Uso fans out there. I just don't care about him. He hasn't given me a reason to connect with him.
41 is done to finally decide, but this might be a top 3 ever when all is said and done. But remember when WWE was terrible? We do.
All right. Also, the WWE at the press. I don't think they're going to talk about the press conference here. WWE press conference. Triple H said that they had the largest gate ever for a Royal Rumble, and I'd like to point out they've run bigger buildings. The tickets are just more expensive. I don't know what to tell you. They keep coming out here and telling us we're making more money off you. LOL. Thank you for all the money. That's my problem. Here's a problem I have. The Royal Rumble is 90 minutes away from my house, and the tickets were so much money to sit so far away. And I'm sorry, I don't want to sit in the 700 section. I don't want to sit up there with my relatives and former family pets, with the old gods and the new at the top of this arena, to watch it on the Jumbotron. I'm getting kind of sick of the amount of money that WWE is siphoning from its fans. Things need to be a little bit more, you know what? Things need to be a little bit more fair with the money, Triple H. And I know there are a lot of people like, well, it's a business and things like that. Guess what, buddy? You're not a business. You'll never own the machine. Why are you arguing against your own self-interest? Anyway.